The night of March 25th, 2026, the official White House social media accounts posted 2 videos with no explanation. The first, 4 seconds, shot on a phone, pointed at a woman's feet with a single line of audio. Quote, "It's launching soon, right?" It was deleted 90 minutes later. The second was a black screen, a notification sound, and a single frame of an American flag. Also deleted. No statement, no comment, no explanation. That same week, a team of scientists at Northwestern University sequenced the genome of a small wingless insect that crawls across snow in sub-zero temperatures. What they found stopped them cold. Genes that match nothing in any known database. Proteins structured identical to those found in Arctic fish. Biological machinery for generating internal heat found only in mammals. The lead researcher said, and I'm quoting directly here, "Initially, I thought we must have sequenced some alien species. And somewhere inside the research labs and data centers of the world's largest technology companies, something else was waking up. An AI trained to write code discovered that computing power equals resources. So it quietly commandeered cloud GPUs, mined cryptocurrency, and built hidden backdoors through security infrastructures. Not because anyone told it to, but because a reward system accidentally taught it to want things. A government posting cryptic videos in the middle of a war, a genome that doesn't match anything on Earth, and an artificial intelligence that started acquiring resources on its own. All of it happened in the last 10 days. And welcome back to Infinite Rabbit Hole.
Imagine that this line represents time, present 1985, future, past. Prior to this point in time, somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985. Alternate to you, me, and Einstein. Fuck. Reality for everyone else.
What's up, everyone? I'm Jeremy Sosha, and you're listening to Infinite Rabbit Hole, your briefing on the unexplained. Today, I'm joined by my co-hosts Jake and CJ, and we have yet another packed episode for you. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. It helps more people find the show. And you can find us at infiniterabbithole.com, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. We're only 78 subs away from our 1,000 subscriber milestone. But before we jump in, quick reminder that on Saturday, May 9th, I'll be at Capcom, the Cryptid Anomalies and Paranormal Convention in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin at the Radisson Hotel and Conference Center. I'll be on the UFO, UAP, and CE5 discussion panel alongside Ian DeGraff, Zach Screed, and Dustin Schuda with Jeff Finup as our host. Use code RABBITHOLE at checkout for 10% off your tickets. Links are posted in our most recent social post. Before we start up with the quick hits, Jake, CJ, what's up, guys? How you doing today?
Doing all right. Just got home from work, doing a massive modification in one of our airplanes, and I am absolutely beat, but here I am.
You look beat.
Yeah.
You like you got ran through.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been staring at the same section of wires for 4 days straight.
Ooh, I missed that.
Running new wires for a throttle modification in the same like 4 foot by 4 foot spot. It's been a nightmare.
I miss that, man. I do. I miss that a lot. CJ, what's going on, Chuckles?
Well, I didn't just get off work, but it's window season and I have my full-time job, so I'm working essentially 2 full-time jobs, so I'm pretty beat. And I got an asthma diagnosis on Monday, and I'm on new meds, this isn't a big deal for most people, but I'm like an ultra lightweight, so any and all side effects from medications, I just get slammed with them, and it's been a week.
New meds aren't fun, dude.
No.
Don't sell
And
yourself
my
short,
kid
man.
is sick. And my kid got sick again.
Kids get sick a lot.
Kids are fucking gross. Like, they're so gross, dude. And like, they go to school and they trade diseases like Pokemon cards. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And then they bring them home and they're like, oh, sharing is caring. I'm like, not in this case. It's so bad, dude. Gross.
I know that all too well, too.
Dude, Jake, wait until one day you're sitting on the couch and they come over and they go, Daddy, I don't feel good. And you're just like covered in stuff and you're like, thanks, now I'm not going to feel good. This is awesome.
It's like the moment of contact. You know when it happens. And you're just like, well, start the timer.
Well, I'll tell you what, the problem with not being able to have kids is that literally, like, I'm in the boat of like, "Oh, I'm not ready to adopt a kid." And it's like, it would be so much more convenient, like, not initially, but just like in the entirety of it, if it was like everyone else where it's like, oh, surprise, type stuff. If I wake up and suddenly there's a kid with us, I've done something illegal. Like, there's a lot of in adoption that could not happen, you know?
Well, I mean, if you want it bad enough, you'll do it eventually, right? So
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, we're saving up money, but
it is
everything's
very,
expensive,
very expensive.
So
One of our buddies from the One Candle Society adopted a kid a couple years ago, and
Yeah. Yeah,
he's
I've seen that.
super happy.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, we're saving up money for it. We wanna get rolling with it probably in the next year or so, God willing, so we'll see.
Do
We'll
you
see
know
what
what
happens.
brand? Do you know what brand you want to get?
Brand.
Healthy, we're, it's funny too because we're like, "Gosh, it's like going to the pound and picking out a dog." But it's
Or are you gonna do just like raffle it, just like reach in, pull one out, like, oh, this is mine now, and just take it home.
Yeah, no, and people are kinda shocked because, I mean, obviously, I would say that most people want a kid that looks like them, right? That's kinda the way we're wired. It's like me and Whitney are like, we're just praying, "Lord, give us a kid," it doesn't matter
Mhm.
the gender, the age, or the race or whatever, just give us a kid, We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Confident. You guys are good people. You'll get a kid. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready to get going?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Before we get into our main stories tonight, let's run through quick hits, our rapid roundup of the stories from the last 10 days that deserve your attention, even if we don't have time to go deep on them. So let's go. On July of last year, astronomers spotted an interstellar object passing through our solar system. Third one ever detected. They named it 3I Atlas and they called it a comet. Most scientists still think it probably is. But Hubble images processed in January revealed something that's hard to explain. 3 jets of material erupting from the surface, separated by exactly 120 degrees, perfectly symmetrical. And that's not how comets work. Solar heating creates jets where the ice is, which are almost always random, uneven, and asymmetric, not 120 degrees apart like clockwork. On March 16th, the object made its closest approach to Jupiter and is now heading out of the solar system permanently. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb has captured 22 separate anomalies, including unexplained acceleration, unusual nickel to iron ratio that matches industrial alloys, and an orbital path so precisely aligned with the ecliptic that the odds of it being coincidence are estimated at 0.2%. Is it a comet? Probably, but the data is not making that easy to confirm. Moving on. Cybersecurity firm Gray Noise operates a global network of sensors that monitor internet traffic around the clock. Last week, something unusual happened. In the span of 7 days, 600 plus new scanning IPs appeared in their data, all geolocating to Hong Kong. That's nearly half of all new scanning IPs observed globally that week, and 99.7 of them never completed a single connection. No handshake, no payload, no exploitation attempt. They showed up, were logged, and disappeared. Gray Noise calls them ghost IPs. They appeared in the data but never proved they were real. No one knows what they were probing for. No one knows who sent them. And because they never completed a TCP connection, there's no way to verify where the traffic actually originated. Almost 250,000 phantom IP addresses materialized and vanished over 7 days with no explanation. Moving on. Scientists have found a massive freshwater reservoir buried beneath one of the saltiest bodies of water in the Western Hemisphere, the Great Salt Lake in Utah. Water up to 8 times saltier than the ocean is apparently sitting on top of a hidden freshwater system, reaching depths of up to 4 kilometers. Scientists from the University of Utah discovered it using airborne electromagnetic surveys. essentially x-raying the geology from a helicopter. The first clue was strange. Reed-covered mounds had been spontaneously appearing on the dried-out lake bed, a circular oasis 50 to 100 meters wide, where pressurized fresh water was pushing up through the hypersaline surface. Nobody could explain where the water was coming from. Now they know. And the scale of what's down there is far larger than anyone expected. Researchers believe it may extend even under the entire lake. Moving on. In the Pacific Ocean's Clarion-Clipperton zone, researchers have discovered 24 new species of amphipods, tiny crustaceans living in the deep sea. That alone would be significant. But one of those discoveries is something rarer, an entirely new superfamily, a previously unknown branch of the tree of life. To put that in context, a new species is notable. A new genus is exciting. A new family? That's rare. A new superfamily means scientists have found a group of organisms so distinct from everything else we know that it requires an entirely new category to describe them. Moving on. 2 Mars stories this week that together paint a picture of a planet far more geologically active than we assumed. First, researchers confirmed that Martian rocks contain gemstones like crystals, including rubies and possibly sapphires, created by ancient meteorite impacts and hydrothermal activity. Second, data from NASA's InSight mission suggests that Tharsis volcanic region on Mars is more geologically active than previously thought, and may be causing the entire planet to spin faster over time. Mars has active geology. Mars has gemstones. And if Mars had active geology billions of years ago, then it also had liquid water, meaning that the panspermia question we explored in our last episode gets a lot more interesting. Moving on. If you know your New Zealand wildlife, you know the cockapoo, the world's heaviest parrot, which happens to be completely flightless, critically endangered with only 235 individuals alive today, each one named and each one tracked. This week, researchers announced the discovery of a million-year-old fossil ancestor of the cockapoo in a cave near Waitomo in New Zealand's North Island. The fossil was preserved between 2 layers of volcanic ash from eruptions 1.55 million and 1 million years ago, perfectly sealed in time. The ancestor, named Strigops insulaborealis, had weaker legs than the modern cockapoo, which means it was a less capable climber, which means it likely didn't need to climb as much, which means the researchers believe it may have been able to fly. The world's only flightless parrot used to fly, and evolution took that away. Supervolcanoes and climate shifts forced it to the ground over 1 million years. The researchers described the gap in New Zealand's fossil record this discovery fills as not a missing chapter, but a missing volume. Moving on. Over the past 48 hours, the official White House social media accounts ran one of the strangest government social media campaigns in recent memory. It started Wednesday night with a 4-second video of a woman's feet and a voice saying, "It's launching soon, right?" and was deleted 90 minutes later with no explanation, followed by a black screen, an iPhone notification ping, and a single frame of an American flag. Also deleted, also no comment. Then Thursday, 3 heavily pixelated images appearing to show Trump, Vance, and Rubio, tens of millions of views. The White House's own deputy communications director responded to his boss's post with an alien emoji and posted, quote, "It will all be clear in due time." The FCC joined in with its own pixelated image and then an analog horror-style video, reversed audio, an eerie tone that when played backwards said, "Exciting announcement tomorrow." The internet lost its mind. Alien disclosure, UAP files, missing scientists, all of it. This morning, the announcement, the official White House mobile app, live streams and real-time updates. The White House even acknowledged the build-up and the reveal. There have been a lot of launches lately. Relax, this one's an app. So that's what launched. What hasn't launched is Alien.gov, which is still dark. The UAP files, which are still under review, and the disclosure machinery, which is still moving. The app is the answer to H launching soon. It's not the answer to Alien.gov. Those are 2 different questions. So Jake, CJ, ghost IPs, a secret ocean under a salt lake, a new branch of life, an interstellar object with perfectly symmetric jets, and a White House app. that the whole internet thought was going to be aliens. That's just the quick hits tonight. What's sitting with you most going into the main stories?
Are these new crustaceans tasty?
Ooh, good question. Probably.
Are they made of meat?
They typically are tasty.
Okay, well, let's start harvesting them then.
Super rare.
Look, new life. What does it taste like, though?
But it's such a primal animal response, right? Like, yeah, but you threw one of them on the shore, the first thing that's going to happen is a raccoon will pull up and ask the same question.
CJ, I heard you typing away, man. What were you looking up there, dude?
I couldn't remember the packet names for a TCP/IP handshake. I got a degree in cybersecurity 2 years ago. That
So does that
has done nothing for me.
does
What's
that
that?
article mean anything to you?
It's weird, right? Like I'm by far not an expert, right? But it sounds kind of like someone who has no idea what they were doing attempted a DOS attack, right? So like, do you know how like a TCP handshake works with a system? Like if you wanted to connect, all right. So if you want to connect, you need to do it's called a handshake, right? And what it does is, the you would send a system a SYN file. I think it stands for synchronized file. I'm not really sure, but it's a SYN file. That system will send back what's called a SYN ACK file, which I think stands for synchronized acknowledgement. And then you would then send back a third packet called an ACK file, which I think is acknowledgement. And that completes the handshake and that completes the connection. So when you want to launch a DOS attack, you have many, 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 many systems fire a SYN file. That system will respond with a SYN ACK, but then it doesn't send back an acknowledge file. Oh my God, packet. I'm very, very tired. Acknowledge packet. When it doesn't send back the acknowledged packet, the attempted connection isn't closed and it's not like completed. So it's just kind of like in this limbo. And if you do that enough, it overload system shuts it down. That's what you know as a DOS attack. So if they have all these ghost IPs just showing up in the system, it sounds like somebody attempted a DOS attack, but had absolutely no idea what they were doing and just absolutely failed at it.
Yeah, I saw a couple people comment on the few articles I was reading, and honestly, it sounded like a lot of like, what the fuck is this? I have no idea what any of it meant. And I did my best to try to understand.
For you if you should. Yeah, if you had a link, I could probably translate it for you. But like, it was probably nothing. Right?
No,
It sounds like whatever area that was coming from out of Hong Kong, that it was like, it sounds like they were trying to bog down the system so that no information could come in or out. Kind of
that's
like,
what I first thought.
you
That
know
would
what I'm
be a
saying?
DOS attack. Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's
I
what
mean,
DOS
kind
attacks do.
but like kind of like when there's like a mass casualty type event and then people can't connect on their phones and stuff like that, and it's because there's so many people at one time trying to access the internet and send text messages and make phone calls and stuff, it completely bogs down the system. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird that they didn't get the handshake, but it's like still, that seems like something crazy was going on, and then all of their agents are like just spamming the system, just trying to keep people from having comms in and out.
Yeah, I mean, it's all essentially the same thing. Like when the emergency happens and everybody tries to connect, like you mentioned, that's just a natural process. A DOS attack is the same exact thing, but it's intentional.
Right.
And they have to do it through something called a bot farm usually, where they're like the master, and then through a series of malicious links, like they obtain remote control over several other people's devices, and then they use all those devices at once to fight
Right.
the system.
Interesting.
I wonder what they're going to find in this. Moving on to a different thing, I wonder what they're going to find in this freshwater body inside the Great Lake.
I thought that was low key one of the more interesting things.
4 kilometers down. That's pretty crazy.
It's pretty deep, man. And to see that there's actually some of that fresh water making it to the surface, that's what I thought was pretty cool.
Wait, isn't a Great Lake freshwater?
This was underneath Salt Lake in Utah.
Okay, so we have a freshwater body underneath Salt Lake. Oh, so it's like the reverse things, like the reverse of like the cenotes in Mexico, where that's freshwater on top and then they have a saltwater body underneath.
So this isn't actually touching. This is underground, underneath the entirety of the lake. Where what I'm thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're talking about, it's like saltwater.
The one that has the
pools.
layer where it looks like there's a layer of glass where you can penetrate through the salt water into the fresh water and back and forth. Yeah.
and things like get down into the salt water, and I think it's like, it's
Die.
like sulfur or something in there kills them.
Yeah, they die. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Good.
Well, fine. Yeah.
No, I mean, I thought it was interesting, but the quick hits are just meant to be quick.
So
Yeah.
wait, did the thing with the White House actually happen, or was that
Yeah.
all made up?
So hold on. Let me tell you. Let me say that story, because I almost did a breaking news episode today on this, because this was going on for almost 72 hours, man. They were legitimately posting some really strange things. They were doing it on X, White House X posts. Let me see if anybody captured them, because they were getting deleted. So here, I will share the screen. This is just a Google search, and I'll show you the ones that were actually done. So like this right here are the 3 pixelated images. You can see it over here. And then the videos were extremely weird.
But like, were they real? Did they actually happen, or is this somebody that just like made something up and made it on AI or whatever?
No, like these were all posts. I was following this on X. These were from the White House's official X page.
Okay. I don't really do a ton of social media, so
No, I get it.
I have no idea.
So like I'm sitting there thinking that we're gonna get Aliens.com or Aliens.gov, right? I thought this was gonna be the big announcement that everyone's waiting for. I was like, fuck yeah, man, let's go. Breaking news, we gotta be on top of this.
They just went with like a video game teaser strategy where like they just like do weird stuff until they announce it.
They fucking punked us, is what they did. That's what they did.
So
man.
messed up.
It really is, because I was stoked.
They did it on purpose. They were looking, they were like, Jeremy Soshi, you fucking nerd.
He's writing a write-up about it.
Dude, I was too. I was deep into it. Let's here, I'll share. I'm actually looking on X right now. They deleted all the posts, all the eerie posts from the White House's page, but people took screenshots. So like this right here, this is from the second video. This is the one where it eventually shows the American flag. It's just a black screen. Let's see.
The question here is, how many people have access to the White House's Twitter that they're able to post all this shit, and then somebody else comes on there and randomly deletes it? Like, how many devices are logged into this? Because that seems like a security issue. Oh, we have 45 people logged into the fucking Twitter account, just whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, I just want to be perfectly clear that I am not pushing this. Like, I could not give a shit less about the White House app. I basically included
I'm
this
on it right
because,
now. It's pretty cool.
is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was super disappointed that it wasn't
Your
Aliens.gov,
algorithm is
man.
insane. It's like White House conspiracy, White House, Israel, White House, naked cartoon man.
Well, this is I searched White House up here.
Okay.
Let's see, cryptic video. Maybe that'll pop up. Something. Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh,
So here's that image of the flag on that video. Someone screenshot that. That was part of the 6-second video.
Nobody downloaded the video and then re-uploaded it. Like, fuck you, government. Too late, bitch. You already did it.
I'm sure it exists. I'm sure you can find it. This got posted today.
Okay.
Here was no. Oh no, this is the one that came from the FCC. That's what this one was. So this one, if you played it with audio and you played it in reverse, it would say exciting announcement tomorrow. Here's the pixelated images. Like it was I wish I could show you the one of the
That
woman
was somebody who
walking.
found a face masking filter and was just playing with it and hit upload by accident.
Probably. The one where the woman was walking and all you see is her feet. That was a pretty odd one. But yeah, super let down.
Somebody accidentally live streaming their feet. They just butt dialed Twitter.
I was really let down, man. I was excited. I was like, yes, here we go. Disclosure. Let's go.
I almost guarantee this was all just incompetencies. Like I said, somebody playing with a face muddling filter and someone accidentally like live streaming their feet while they're walking. Like, if our government was even remotely competent, I would be denying that. But like, given their actions, it doesn't shock me at all that they were just like futzing around with stuff and butt dialing Twitter.
Dude, they're business people, man, because they sure as hell got everybody talking about it. People were going crazy over it for like
I
72
refuse to believe
hours.
that's intentional. I refuse. Refuse
I
to
think it
believe
was.
they
I think it
intentionally
was.
did
And
that.
and I think that they knew that it was going to be a letdown, that it was just an app. Like, it's just like, damn it. Come on. Now, if
One of them got a hold of Sora and was just making AI videos to fuck with you guys.
what I am guessing that, you know, all the disclosure news and everything is probably going to come through the White House app. So maybe I will download it just to, you know, be on the front lines of when this stuff actually gets dropped. But super letdown. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. That's what I texted you guys about today. Like I was gonna do it, and I was like, ah man. And then they
Never
finally
mind,
dropped
man.
it. I was like, fuck, never mind. I don't want to do this. This is stupid. All right, let's get into our first briefing story. I want you to hold two things in your mind at the same time tonight. The first is this: the United States government is right now actively building the infrastructure for what may be the most significant public disclosure in American history. Domain names registered. Interagency declassification reviews underway. A sitting president on record ordering the release of everything the government holds on extraterrestrial life. Betting markets pricing at a 16% chance of confirmation before the end of 2027, with $17 million behind that number. The second is this: over the past 9 months, 5 of the people most likely to know what's actually in those files have either vanished or been killed. Hold both of those things. We'll come back to them in just a minute. It is March 18th, 2026. Somewhere inside the federal government's domain registration system, 2 new addresses quietly come to life: Alien.gov and Aliens.gov, both hosted on Cloudflare servers, neither connected to a live website. Registered during a period when the government isn't even accepting new domain requests due to a funding lapse, meaning someone made an exception to get those done. When Defense Scoop asked White House why, Press Secretary Anna Kelly responded with 2 words and an alien emoji, quote, quote, "Stay tuned." That's the entire official statement. It comes about a month after President Trump posted on Truth Social directing the Pentagon and every federal agency to release government records related to extraterrestrial life, UAPs, and UFOs. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth confirmed the Pentagon is actively working on compliance. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence confirmed publicly the UAP files will, quote, soon be declassified. Christopher Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence and one of the most credible voices in the disclosure space, confirmed that agencies have started the declassification review process. Trained security officers reviewing files line by line, determining what can be released and how. The machinery is moving. Alien.gov is registered. The files are under review. Something is being built. And then in the middle of all that, the White House started doing something very strange on social media. We covered it in quick hits tonight. 2 days of cryptic videos, pixelated photos of the president and vice president, analog horror-style audio that, when reversed, said exciting announcement tomorrow. The whole internet connected it to Alien.gov. The disclosure community went into an overdrive. The announcement was a smartphone app. And look, the app revealed doesn't actually close the other questions. It doesn't explain why Alien.gov is still dark. It doesn't explain why the UAP files are still under review. And it doesn't explain the alien emoji from a senior White House communication official. The app is the answer to, quote, "it's launching soon." It is not the answer to Alien.gov. Those are 2 different questions. But here's what I really want to talk about tonight, because while all of this has been building, the domain names, the declassification reviews, the cryptic posts, the disclosure machinery quietly moving, something else has been happening simultaneously. And a sitting member of Congress says it is directly connected. Over the past 9 months, 5 people with direct ties to the most sensitive aerospace, fusion, and astrophysics research programs in the country have either vanished or been killed. Let me walk you through them. The first is a name you've heard on this show before: retired Air Force Major General William Neal McCaslin, former commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright Patterson Air Force Base, the most sensitive aerospace research installation in the United States. The facility long associated in UFO circles with recovered craft and retrieved materials. McCaslin appears by name in the Podesta WikiLeaks emails described by Tom DeLonge of Blink-182 and the To the Stars Academy as someone who had been privately briefed on the full UAP picture for months and was quietly advising the disclosure community. A source told the New York Post that McCaslin was both a gatekeeper and a participant in what he knew. On February 27, 2026, 6 days after President Trump announced he would release the UFO files, McCaslin walked out of his Albuquerque home. He left behind his phone, his glasses, his wearable devices. He took his boots, a backpack, and his .38 caliber revolver. His wife last saw him at 11:10 in the morning. He has not been seen since. Thermal drones, search and rescue, federal involvement, still nothing. The second is Monica Jacinto Riza, age 60, NASA aerospace engineer and former technical fellow at Aerojet Rocketdyne, the co-inventor of something called Mondaloy, a nickel-based superalloy designed to survive the extreme heat and oxygen-rich environment inside next-generation rocket engines. The alloy funded directly by McCaslin's Air Force Research Laboratory. The alloy that helped America reduce its dependence on Russian rocket technology. On June 22nd, 2025, 8 months before McCaslin disappeared, Riza was hiking the Mount Waterman Trail in California's Angeles National Forest with 2 experienced companions. She fell 30 feet behind the group on a ridgeline, and she waved. Then she was gone. Months of searching, helicopters, dogs, radar, drones, hundreds of volunteers, no body, no trace. The case was transferred to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Homicide Bureau. She still is listed as a missing person. And here's a detail that I want you to sit with. 4 days after she vanished, while helicopters were still actively searching, someone created a memorial page for her on Find a Grave. Listed her date of death as the day she disappeared. Listed her burial method as a green burial, which requires a confirmed body. The page was later removed. No body has ever been found. No burial has ever been confirmed. 2 missing, both connected to the same classified aerospace research thread. Both avid outdoors people who vanished without a trace. No phones, no bodies. The third is Nuno Loriero, 47 years old, director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center, one of MIT's largest labs with more than 250 researchers working across 7 buildings, a physicist who had recently received the Presidential Early Career Award, the highest U.S. government honor for early career scientists, by multiple accounts on the brink of breakthroughs in fusion energy that could fundamentally change how civilization is powered. On December 15th, 2025, Loriero was shot multiple times in the foyer of his apartment building in Brookline, Massachusetts. He died the following morning. A suspect was identified, a former classmate from Portugal named Claudio Neves Valentim, who had also carried out a mass shooting at Brown University 2 days prior. Valente died by suicide. The firearm matched. Case closed, technically. Motive unknown. No one has explained why a former classmate crossed the Atlantic and shot the director of MIT's Fusion Research Center. The fourth is Carl Grillmer, 67 years old, Caltech astrophysicist, 4 decades mapping the structure of the Milky Way, discovering faint stellar streams, finding evidence of water on a planet beyond our solar system. He had a personal observatory behind his house. He kept studying the sky from his backyard. On the morning of February 16th, 2026, Gilmer was found on the front porch of that home in Llano, California, shot in the torso, dead at the scene. A suspect, 29-year-old Freddie Snyder, was arrested nearby in connection with a carjacking and has been charged with Gilmer's murder. No motive has been released. No known relationship between the 2 men confirmed. 2 months before the killing, Snyder had been arrested for trespassing on Gilmer's property with a loaded, unregistered rifle. A judge ordered him to complete a gun safety course and released him. He didn't show up for his next court date. His charges were dismissed. 11 days later, he allegedly came back and killed the man whose property he had been trespassing on. And the 5th is Jason Thomas, assistant director of chemical biology at Novartis, who went missing from Wakefield, Massachusetts in December of 2025. His body was recovered from Lake Quannapoit in March 17th, 2026. Authorities say no foul play is suspected, though cause and manner of death remain pending autopsy. 2 missing, 2 dead by gunfire, 1 dead under circumstances still under investigation, and now Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee, who sits on the House Oversight Committee and has been one of the most outspoken members of Congress on UAP transparency, went public this week on March 24th. He said, and I'm going to quote him directly here, quote, "Something dark is going on. I know these scientists and researchers. They have testified. We've got to get to the bottom of it. It's just too much. Too much is going on right now. And by the way, I'm not suicidal." He told Newsmax that intelligence agencies have actively thwarted his attempts to find out what happened. He said the numbers seem very high in these certain areas of research. He specifically suggested that the materials Riza was working with may have had non-terrestrial origins. He accused the alphabet agencies, especially the FBI, of being obstructive and unhelpful. And he said he doesn't trust the government's handling of any of it. A sitting United States congressman on the record saying he is not suicidal, while investigating the deaths and disappearances of scientists connected to classified aerospace programs. The same week, the White House registered Alien.gov, and the internet briefly thought an app announcement was UAP disclosure. Now, I have to be responsible here and give you the official record. Law enforcement has not established any connection between these 5 cases. Each is being investigated independently. The Lauriero and Grillmare shootings both have identified suspects with apparent non-conspiracy explanations. McCaslin's wife initially said foul play was not suspected. No investigator has publicly linked any of these cases to UAP disclosure or classified aerospace programs. But the official record also doesn't explain why a former classmate with no known motive flew from Portugal to shoot the director of MIT's Fusion Research Center. It doesn't explain why a man who had been arrested with a rifle on a scientist's property 2 months earlier was released, missed his court date, had his charges dropped, and 11 days later came back and killed him. It doesn't explain the Find a Grave memorial that appeared while helicopters were still searching for Monica Riza, claiming a green burial for a woman whose body has never been found. It doesn't explain why 2 people who shared a professional thread running directly through the most sensitive aerospace programs in the country both vanished outdoors, both without phones, both without a trace. And it doesn't explain why a sitting member of Congress felt the need to add, unprompted by the way, that he is not suicidal. Alien.gov is registered, the files are under review, something is being built, and the people who may have known what's actually in those files are disappearing. Maybe these things aren't connected. The investigators say they aren't, and they might be right. But the question Congressman Burchett is asking is the same one a lot of people are asking tonight. If you were going to open the files, really open them, what would you do first with the people who could tell you what's actually in them? Jake CJ, 2 missing aerospace researchers, 2 dead scientists, Alien.gov is still dark, disclosure machinery moving, and a sitting congressman who felt the need to tell the public he's not suicidal. Where does your head go with all this?
Ladies first.
Ooh.
Well, that would be you.
All right.
woman.
Hillary, I think Hillary's consulting again. That's what it sounds like to me.
Right? Because she doesn't want you to know about the aliens.
No, she doesn't want us to know that she's an alien.
I think she just likes killing people.
Yeah,
Shit,
well, that
shit.
too. That too. Nothing quite like a good killing, you know?
Let me push the button.
Yo, the Clinton body count is freaking impressive.
It is. It is. I feel like Jeff would have a heyday with that statement.
Yeah, probably. That's what they do with the moon. It's a luminary that's filled with the dead bodies of the Clintons, the enemies of the Clintons. They're in the moon mines. They get banished to the mines.
They put Wi-Fi on the moon recently, from what I understand, which is bananas.
Yeah.
Did it really?
I'm pretty sure.
Anyways, what do you think, man?
This is pretty wild. A lot of interesting stuff, all in association with the disclosures all happening at once, or at least within the last couple weeks. It's getting real hard to say that this is all just like coincidence.
Agreed with Jake.
I mean, it could be. It could be coincidence, but then it's what Occam's razor. It's getting it'd be a lot easier to just be like, yeah, these are all linked, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
NASA
that's
is actively developing Wi-Fi and 4G LTE cellular networks on the moon.
Okay. How are they going to do that if they kill off all their scientists?
I mean, that's not
worry.
funny. But
Yeah.
no, it's a good question though. I mean, if we're going to keep killing off all these like really influential scientists in major departments, how are we going to ever get anything done?
Here's the other side of that. All right, hear me out. So, my grandfather on my dad's side started off in the Navy as an E1 on subs, got up to commander at some point. I think around
Ooh.
E5, he went seaman to admiral, made it up to commander of his own sub. He was on diesel subs back before we obviously swapped over to nuclear, right? So, when he was on the sub platform, and they brought out the nuclear submarines, instead of taking all of this top brass that had, you know, all these war tactics and everything like that from Vietnam and Korea and even, you know, World War II, when the sub programs were first starting to get started, because they had new technology and they weren't certain of the viability of the current top dogs to handle and grasp the new technology, the nuclear technology for the submarines. Regardless of their experience and their war tactics and all those sorts of things, they force retired all of them. So they told my grandfather when he was serving, I think he was well over 30 years at this point, but they said, well, we will allow you to finish out your time, but then you need to retire. And so they kicked out all these top guys and brought in all these new, fresh eyeballs and earballs to work on and to operate the new subsystems. And so I say that because Occam's razor says that, you know, the most likely scenario is probably it. So they're killing off all the people that could, you know, that could come up and whistle blow and say, no, you know, what the federal government just put out about UAPs and stuff is all BS. This is actually what it is, you know. So that seems like the most likely scenario. The other part of that is that the truth of what we're really dealing with is so crazy and advanced that it's going to open up the floodgates to all different types of new technologies and stuff. And they realize that they don't need any of these old geezers anymore. And so they're getting rid of them to replace them with younger guys that are more hip and, you know, scientifically and technologically advanced and can play ball with that sort of stuff.
Well, so
That's where my mind goes.
From a technical standpoint, right? From business thoughts, I've seen this before, right? You see this kind of in practice in the military when you have new versions of aircraft that come out and they don't necessarily allow pilots or even air crewmen go onto these new platforms. Now, take the AWF rating, for example, right? AWFs were the guys that were attached to the P3s, right? When the P3s that got decommissioned, all the AWFs had to re-rate. Meaning, for those that aren't in the Navy, AWFs is I can't remember what the F was, but it's an air crewman, basically a non-pilot flying body, right? It does various things. Most of them were radar operators in the P. When the P3 got decommissioned, they made them all re-rate instead of re-rating them into a different AW rate, like AWO, right? Or what did we have? We had AWSs, right?
Right.
On the H-60. AWSs were the search and rescue team, basically.
So the AWFs were Naval Aircrew Mechanical. AWF.
Oh, okay. So they were flying mechanics is what they were. Right. But they were still held up to a lot of the standards that AWs are. Now, AWs, I mean, they're not your Navy SEALs, but they're all in really fucking good shape. Like
The boat chicks love them.
They do. They do. They're the jocks of the Navy enlisted, put it that way, right? Or Navy Aviation enlisted. So instead of re-rating them to another AW rate, AWO, AWS, I think there was AWR, right? There was a couple different ones. They made them re-rate completely into something different. I had a good buddy of mine who was an AWF who ended up becoming a Master at Arms, an MA. Basically the police force of the Navy security team. So, and that was at my first command in Pax River. I always thought it was weird that they didn't really change them into another AW rating. And until I started seeing it in very similar situations across the rest of naval aviation. The E2 was a good example. Like you had the E2 2000s, and although the aircraft was very similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were allowed to move up from the E2 2000s to the E2 Charlies to the Deltas. But when the P3 turned into the P8, the aircrafts were so different that they found it pretty much backwards to retrain the people that were already trained on P3s to become P8 pilots. So they filled it up with new billets. New people came in and became the pilots and the aircrew of these P8s. The P3 guys, I don't even know what they did with the pilots, to be honest with you. I have no idea. It seems to be more of like the micro and the macro compared to what you were talking about, like the micro being the P3, P8 thing, and the macro being the diesel subs to the nuclear subs. It's like trying to teach somebody who's been doing something for so long a certain way, and technology gets upgraded so much. Like that's a huge step. From diesel
sure.
to nuclear is incredible. And from the P3 to P8, you're talking about turboprop engines to why am I drawing a blank here, Jake?
A turbofan?
Yeah, turbofans, right? So instead of the props with the spinning
Right.
blades in front of them, now you just have a
Jet engine.
suck, squeeze, bang, blow jet engine. I mean, that's what it is, though. That was enough for them to say, okay, let's just get new people in here. What you bring up a good point. What if they're doing this with the scientists? You have these people that are so trained and so knowledgeable in these areas, but there's about to be a new player in the game, a new technology that gets unveiled. And
They want those young, fresh college students, not these old geezers that have been studying, anti-gravity propulsion for forever. It's like, oh, we're on to anti-gravity propulsion. It's like, isn't that gravity propulsion? No,
that's a whole nother
Yeah, the dark matter propulsion. It's like, what?
Speaking of, since you said that, I think it was antimatter, but we successfully transported antimatter. Did you guys hear about that?
No. Did it just become regular matter after that?
Was it antimatter or was it dark matter? Oh, I thought I was typing. I wasn't typing. Hold on. Yeah, here. This is cool, man. I thought this was a joke, but it's not. Here you go. Transported antimatter is all I searched. In a historic scientific first, CERN researchers successfully transported 92 antiprotons via truck. Like, look, this just happened 12 hours ago, 3 days ago, 13 hours ago, a day ago. Like, they actually transported antimatter.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me something crazy, like they did it using...
No.
Like, they ripped a hole in the void and transported it from one spot on Earth to the other, not via truck. They didn't use they used FedEx, and some scientists had to sign for it.
Well, if you know anything about antimatter, right? Let's go with weight of a tablespoon of antimatter. Of course. Oh, that's news. A tablespoon of antimatter, assuring it has the same density as normal matter, such as water, would weigh. Okay, so they're totally not getting what I'm trying to ask here. Okay, I'm not going to dive into all that right now. I might end up cutting that up of the episode.
But what do you think about that? I think that I wanted to give that example as like a, could be this, could be that sort of a thing. But honestly, I think that the most likely situation is that when disclosure happens, because I do think it will happen, it's just going to be in a form that everyone's going to be kind of bummed out about. But when disclosure does happen and they say, all right, that's all of it, it would behoove them not to have a bunch of people that can come out and whistleblow against it with a lot of credibility and say, oh, everything that the federal government just released is completely 100% BS, and they're lying to you, and they're unwilling to tell the truth, and this is why you shouldn't trust them. And that's probably the most likely scenario.
I think that's the storyline that a lot of people are picking up on. CJ, what do you think, bud?
I think that there's nothing shocking about the government killing people who know too much.
Whatever you do not go on to Reddit and talk about the hydrogen engine you just invented for your truck.
Yeah.
If I'm ever on an airplane and they're boarding and some guy's yapping on about this hydrogen engine he just made, I'm getting the F off the airplane. All right.
Did just learn from Jake that nuclear submarine refers to how the submarine is powered and not the weapons it's carrying, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just the engine type.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
can,
definitely thought
yeah.
that a nuclear submarine was a submarine carrying nukes until right now. So,
Same.
Yeah. Basically, the amount of fuel that is required for the ships is so low that they could, well, I mean, they still need to feed the crew, but essentially they could stay running indefinitely, which was kind of the goal. But yeah, they still have to surface because the crew would all starve to death, right? It's not possible. But I mean, it's certainly, if not that, it limits the amount of times that they have to come up to refuel and they can go out longer and things like that. And that's why they swapped from diesel to nuclear power for our ships and our subs and all that sort of stuff.
did not know it was the power source.
Now they absolutely carry nuclear weapons. I think
They
each
do.
sub carries 20 and they're all over the place. And so at any point they're just waiting for North Korea to do something dumb. They're waiting for China to do something dumb, for Russia to do something dumb. So they could essentially turn the entire landmass into a parking lot for a super Walmart. Like they're 100% waiting for that. They're like, Walmart's already chomping at the bit, being like, come on, man, come on. We got this idea for a bigger, more badass Walmart. And they're like, all right, well, hold on a second. Let's let North Korea shoot a couple more missiles and then you can have your parking lot. You know?
I now know 3 facts about submarines, and that's all I know about them. It's just not a subject I know very much about, you know.
But they do have ICBMs though.
That's pretty cool.
They're
Okay, so I wasn't
crazy.
wrong. Just
No.
the premise was wrong.
Yeah, when they're talking about nuclear subs or nuclear carriers, they're talking about the energy source used for propulsion.
Wow. Yeah, see, I knew that submarines go underwater. Germany made them a real problem for us in World War II.
The
And now I
U-boats.
know that
The
that
U-boats
nuclear
were
and that nuclear submarines are powered by nuclear, not just toting
the
nuclear
U-boats
weapons.
were a big issue for us.
So, yeah, it's just not a topic I knew very much about. So,
I mean, I don't know much about it. I just, little factoids and
hella
stuff.
more than I
Well,
do.
I wasn't a boat guy in the Navy. I was always on aircraft platforms. The only time I went on a boat was to do search and rescue stuff or, deployments. But yeah.
Jeremy told me a Navy joke a while back, and every
Is it about
time,
subs?
yeah,
Is it about couples?
yeah,
So
It's the joke that everyone knows.
yeah. But I use it on people sometimes
so
when they're like, "Oh
CJ,
yeah, I was in the Navy," and I break that bad boy out, and they're like, "You're an asshole."
in
What?
Navy boot camp, you're given 2 books.
You have your recruit training guide, don't you? Oh my gosh. Jeez Louise.
This
You got your blue jacket back there too?
No, that's right here.
Oh my gosh. I have mine. They're somewhere. They're buried though.
So between these, man, they go over all that stuff, like propulsion and weapon systems and different kinds of aircraft and everything. I mean, it's literally your guide to how to be a sailor in the Navy.
Because when you're going through boot camp, you're not, you sign paperwork for a specific job when you're going through MEPS, right? Waiting
Yeah.
to go to boot camp. But when you go to boot camp, they treat you all the same. So it doesn't matter if you're going to be on jets or helicopters or if you're going to, or that's not decided yet. But if you're going to be a mechanic on aircraft or a airframer on aircraft or an electrician on aircraft, or you're going to be
or even a
a
corpsman.
bosun's mate,
Yeah.
or you're going to be, an ABF or whatever the heck they are, on boats, or it doesn't matter, right? Or a yeoman on boats. You're all the same. So you learn the exact same stuff and then we're tested on it. So, cause they don't care what, the recruiter said you're going to be, right? They're just like, all right, you're all sailors. And so we all learn shipboard firefighting. We all learn, and, we all go through battle stations, which is, I can't really, I'm not going to talk about it because
You're
I
not
don't
supposed
want
to
to
talk
ruin it.
about it.
I don't want to ruin it for any future sailors, but it's all the exact same training regardless of what platform you're going to be on and stuff. So yeah, we all kind of got like the baseline training and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
And
Had to
So-
memorize the different types of ships and stuff, what they look like, what they do, that sort of stuff.
so you're not allowed to really communicate with other people in boot camp and most of the time that you're there. So when you're like waiting in line for chow, you have to have this in your hand and this is the only thing you can do. for hours a day is just this. That's it. With this book, and then I think it was like 3/4 of the way through, you can finally pick up your Blue Jackets manual.
Which is just uniform standards, uniform code of military justice.
Mhm.
You have to remember what all the articles are, so in case you ever get, in some deep shit, they can throw the book at you and you can be like, "Oh, Article 15, I know what that is." Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how we know the details of some things, is because we were force fed it. And they
Yeah,
don't
right.
and it was crazy is like they don't even teach you it. They rely on you teaching yourself, and then they test you on it. I mean, there are some classes where you sit down and do a little bit of learning, but for the most part, it's all self-taught. Like, you just have to open this book and memorize everything that's in it.
I appreciate you guys spending the last 10 minutes giving me an excuse for my ignorance. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Well, yeah, you weren't forced to do that.
You
So
don't know what you don't know. I mean, it's easy as that.
I wonder how many people we just dissuaded from joining the Navy.
They're like, I want to go blow stuff up. I don't want to learn about books and reading and ideas.
You guys just created like 25 new Marines. Good job.
Yeah, right. Oh, thank goodness.
Like, look at it, and it was a gateway drug for me.
He's like, oh, books. I get to read books. My gosh. And it's like, no, you get to read a book
A book.
30 times over.
Oh man, no, I hated it. I hated that book. I hated it. Oof. Anyways, all right, you guys ready to move on?
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks, CJ. What an asshole.
Yeah, making us relive past trauma. That's how me and Jeremy met. We're trauma bonded.
We are trauma bonded.
It wasn't the goal. It was just,
I have to go talk to my therapist now. Thanks, CJ.
I can only imagine that conversation. Oh, this fucking asshole didn't know that nuclear subs were powered by nuclear, and now I have problems.
You just gave him another 10% in his disability for
That's
VA.
right. I'm going to be weeping on my therapist's floor, and she's going to be coddling me like a child, giving me cookies. It's okay. Let it all out. I can't. It's too horrible. I had to read. I couldn't use Google.
I'm not a strong reader.
Man,
I could just see Jake. He's got the pages in that book cut out. There's just a Bible in there.
Yeah, right. No, I see. I had it like Shawshank Redemption. If you open up the first 2 pages, there's a rock hammer in there that I was digging my way out through the third urinal from the left.
I gotta cover up some of this stuff, but I don't know if you could see, but I drew calendars in here, and I was checking off the days while I was in boot camp.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Like, this is the only thing you could do there, man. This was everything.
If you were lucky, your chief would come in on a Sunday and tell you what the latest like wins and losses for your favorite sport was. But that was about it.
I luckily went in May and June, so I didn't have to worry about that. I'm
Well,
not a
I was a
baseball guy.
push button for Christmas, so they took 2 weeks off of our boot camp.
Really?
Yep.
You lucky fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So did you just skip P days?
No,
You're
we
not-
had everything, but they
I was gonna
fast
say,
tracked us to
You're
get us
not
out
you're not a
quicker.
sailor unless you had to deal with P days.
Of course I did. Sitting around in my freaking sweats, cold ass floors. Yeah.
Moving on. This episode is going to perform terribly. All right, second briefing tonight. I want you to picture an insect, small, wingless. It crawls across the surface of snow in the dead of winter. Temperatures well below freezing. Conditions that would kill virtually any other insect on Earth within minutes. But this one's fine. Not
Snowflake.
dormant, not hiding, not in some kind of biological stasis waiting for spring. It is out on the snow, moving, looking for a mate, laying eggs, actively living its life in conditions that should be a death sentence. This is the snowfly, Chionia alexandriana. And until 3 days ago, nobody could fully explain how it was doing this. Northwestern University scientists just published a study in the journal Current Biology that answers that question. And the answer is one of the strangest things I've heard this year. Here's how most insects handle cold. They don't. Cold-blooded by definition, insects are entirely at the mercy of external temperature. When it gets cold, they slow down. They find shelter. They go dormant. They wait. The biochemistry that powers their cells simply cannot function below a certain temperature threshold. Cross that line and they die. The snowfly does not do any of that. When the researchers first began analyzing the snowfly's genome, mapping out every gene, every protein, every piece of biological machinery this insect uses to function, they found something that stopped them completely. Genes that didn't match anything, not slightly unusual, not a close match to something known with a few mutations, nothing. No match in any biological database on Earth. The lead researcher, Northwestern's Marco Galileo, described his initial reaction in plain terms. He said, quote, "Initially, I thought we must have sequenced some alien species. It's very rare for an active gene which makes a protein to not have a match." Let me sit with that for a second. A scientist at a major research university sequencing the genome of a real organism that lives on Earth right now concluded that his equipment had probably made an error because the only other explanation was that he was looking at genes from a species nobody had ever cataloged before. He was right, sort of. The genes were real. They just produced something that had never been documented in an insect. Antifreeze proteins. Now, antifreeze proteins exist. We know about them. They're found in Arctic fish, organisms that live in near freezing water and need a biological mechanism to prevent ice crystals from forming in their cells. The proteins work by binding directly to the ice crystals and blocking their growth. They lower the freezing point of water inside the organism's body. They are essentially biological antifreeze. No insect had ever been found to produce them until now. And here's where it gets more interesting. When the researchers looked at the structure of the snowfly's antifreeze proteins, the actual molecular architecture, some of them were structurally identical to the antifreeze proteins found in Arctic fish. Not similar, identical structural motives. Galileo's conclusion: evolution independently arrived at the same exact solution to the same problem in two completely unrelated lineages, insects and fish, separated by hundreds of millions of years of divergent evolution. The same molecular structure reinvented from scratch. In an animal that has no biological relationship to the creatures that developed it first. That is called convergent evolution, and it is one of the most philosophically loaded concepts in all of biology, because what it suggests is that the solutions to certain biological problems are not random. They are, in some sense, inevitable. Given enough time and pressure, life finds the same answers. But the antifreeze proteins were only half the story. Buried in the same genome analysis, the researchers found a specific process found in mammals, mitochondrial thermogenesis, the biological mechanism by which certain warm-blooded animals, bears, marmots, polar bears, generate heat internally by burning stored fat. Brown adipose tissue, brown fat, the biological furnace that keeps hibernating mammals alive throughout the winter. The snowfly has the genetic machinery for this. An insect, a cold-blooded insect, has genes associated with the internal heat generation previously documented only in mammals. The team tested this. They gradually lowered the temperature around the snowfly and measured its internal body temperature throughout. Even as the surrounding environment dropped below freezing, the snowfly stayed measurably warmer than expected. Not through shivering like bees or moths generate heat, something else, something at the cellular level, something closer to how a polar bear generates heat in hibernation than anything previously documented in an insect. So what you have is an organism that combines the thermal biology of a mammal with the antifreeze chemistry of Arctic fish in the body of an insect that weighs almost nothing and lives its entire adult life on the surface of snow. And its genome contains genes that match nothing else we've ever sequenced. Now, what does this mean beyond the immediate science? A few things are worth noting. First, this is not an ancient organism. The snowfly lives right now in accessible environments, and it took until 2026 for us to understand the basic mechanisms of how it survives, which raises an uncomfortable question. How many other organisms on this planet are operating on biological principles we haven't documented yet? Second, the convergent evolution angle. If life independently reinvents solutions, if the antifreeze proteins of an Arctic fish and a snow-crawling insect converge on the same molecular structure, what does that tell us about the probability of similar happening elsewhere? on other worlds with liquid water and extreme temperatures, on moons like Europa or the Enceladus. If the solutions to survival in extreme cold are, in some sense, written into the laws of chemistry, available to any organism with enough evolutionary pressure, then the search for life in extreme environments just got philosophically richer. And third, and I think this is one that should sit with people in this community specifically, the researchers' instinctive reaction was that he had sequenced an alien species, not because the snowfly is alien, but because his biology was so far outside the documented range of what we know that the most of intuitive explanation for a moment was that it came from somewhere else. We found genes on Earth that don't match anything on Earth. They turned out to have an explanation this time. Jake CJ, an insect with a genome that initially looked like it came from another planet, antifreeze proteins identical to Arctic fish, and internal heat generation borrowed from polar bears. What does it mean that we're still finding biology this strange on our own planet in 2026?
Humans are stupid. There's nothing surprising about that either, because if you look at like what evolution is and how evolution supposedly works, I'm going to use supposedly because Jake's here. Evolution supposedly works by like things that survive certain conditions pass their genes on than things that don't survive those conditions, right?
Mhm.
So you have an insect that does, if the insect typically dies at 58 degrees, now you have one that can survive at 57, and he passes his genes on, and down, 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 down. And then the further it goes down, the less predators there are, the more of them survive, and then you evolve. So it makes sense. You got a fish that lives in cold as shit water. As that water temperature goes down and there's less predators or whatever the conditions is, it allows the larger numbers to survive. The ones that can survive the lower temperatures live, and the ones that can't die. Evolution. It doesn't really like think about it like that. It shouldn't really shock anybody that happened with an insect, right? Because if like insects prey, I mean, like you have frogs and lizards and shit that eat insects and birds or whatever. But like when the snow comes down, the birds go south, right? The birds migrate. Most other insects die. Frogs they dig down into the mud or whatever, and they go into their own hibernative state, or what do you call that?
Stasis.
No, there's a word for it. I'm tired and I can't remember what it's when reptiles and amphibians. It's like a form of hibernation that they do. It's not really hibernation. It's
They just freeze solid and thaw out later.
the frogs do that.
Yeah.
The turtles kind of too. They go down to the bottom, whatever. But like all these predators go away, and then these bugs that are able to live in slightly colder, slightly colder, slightly colder, and they like the colder it gets, the more of them survive, and then now you have a whole population that just lives in freezing cold temperatures, and it makes sense. It makes sense. I'm not surprised that a fish can do it and a bug can do it. Like it had to have happened, right? Because like we have all these different things. We have animals that live inside the cradles of life at the bottom of the ocean.
We do, and they're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And like there's sharks that live inside active volcanoes. Like if you think of an extreme environment, we've got something that lives there. That's just kind of how that works, Something figures out how to live there and it thrives there, and things don't kill it, so it reproduces more.
Now, thermal vents of active volcanoes, not in the actual volcano. Not
they're not swimming around in lava.
This is an arc, okay? We don't have magma stores.
It'd be awesome. But you know what I mean, though. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if there's a harsh environment, something has figured out how to live there. The other stuff can't live there. Nothing's predating on it, so it's able to reproduce, and it just gets better at living in those environments until that's the ideal situation for it.
So I should have edited this script for this briefing, because since I read it out loud, I didn't really get out what I wanted to get out. What I really wanted to focus on here was the fact that we can find life in something outside of the Goldilocks zone. So Goldilocks zone is basically where the Earth sits close to the sun, where the liquid water can be, right? Because any hotter, it just evaporates, and any colder, it freezes, right? So I wanted to focus on that. And the reason why I threw the likes of Europa in there, and shoot, even Titan can be thrown in this as well, is that we can have surface species that thrive on the surface of something that's cold. And yes, I understand Europa is going to be a lot colder than our Arctic, right? I get that. But what I was really trying to say, and I think this is lacking in the paranormal, supernatural, cryptid society researchers, right, is that we see everything within a box. And there's some people that can't get out of the scientific box, and there's people that can't get out of the metaphysical or the paranormal box, right? The spiritual box. This is proof that they could meet in the middle. Yes, it's not a very good example of that, but this is more or less taking people out of the scientific box and saying, hey, look, man, there are some things that can survive in areas where it's just not comfortable for you.
But that doesn't mean that they can't survive outside the Goldilocks zone, though, because even though they're surviving in a harsh condition, they still need things like hydration.
Yeah,
And
100%, but there's ways of getting that. Obviously, these flies are getting hydration and food in frozen areas of the world, right? What I'm trying to say is that when we go and we look at the night sky and we look for planets that can hold life, we look for a copy and paste version of Earth. Why do we do that? We really should be looking at a larger spectrum of possible planets because of something like this, because of something like the things that can live near the thermal vents, like the sharks and the crustaceans and stuff that live in some of the most inexplicably hostile environments, sulfur pits and shit. We look at planets because it's comfortable for us. That's what we look at. And I really wanted to focus on, hey, this is pretty cool. It's very science heavy, right? Real biologically heavy. But I wanted to kind of push that we shouldn't just be looking at the Goldilocks zone. And that's what a lot of people that like astrobiologists, they will look at the Goldilocks zone. That's what they're looking for. But I think we should have a wider lens.
We need like an atmosphere. I mean, on top of things needing hydration, they would need like hydration. They would need an atmosphere.
Not necessarily. I mean, look at the things that live in those thermal vents at the bottom of the ocean. There's no atmosphere down there. I mean, they can be literally, like, if we go down there, we become the size of a golf ball because of all the pressure, right? But they survive it. And then...
Yeah, but if we bring them up here, they also expand out into weather balloons. Like...
Yeah, they get the swim bladder that falls out of their mouth. It's rough.
I mean, like, they evolved to live down there, but I mean, like, they're still, like, if they were to check, like, their circulatory system, they're still going to have some sort of gases that, like, are... like they have gills. It separates oxygen from the water. Like
what I'm trying to say, man, is that life finds a way, right? It seems like
life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Yeah, you have to quote it right.
I'm lost.
Yeah, me too.
Is this a movie Jeremy saw that I didn't? Like,
it's Jurassic Park. It's Jeff Goldblum. He's like, life finds a way.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that.
And they're talking about the dinosaurs going from male to female.
Gotcha.
Like frogs.
Alex Jones.
Turn the frogs gay.
Well, he's like, because they're like, how do we have eggs when all the dinosaurs are females? Because they mix them with frog DNA, and frogs can go from male to female at times.
There's a lot of stuff that does that, though, not just frogs. I don't know. That movie annoys me. So I love that movie. Jurassic Park's like top 5 movie for
Obviously
me.
Not. You don't even know the most basic quote. The other one is it heavy? Well, then put it down because it's expensive. They move in herds.
Anyways,
those dinosaurs didn't have feathers.
I like how they call it a snowfly when it doesn't have wings. And I looked it up. It looks like a giant wingless mosquito, and we should absolutely kill every last one of them.
I've heard them called snow fleas in the past too.
I'm not gonna beat the whole evolution thing over the head with a stick like I do all the time. I do like, though, that we're so inundated with alien this and alien that a scientist can't just look at a new thing and just be like, wow, that's crazy unique, without being like, it probably came from somewhere else. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Or maybe we just didn't find it before.
Yeah, or maybe we just haven't looked at it right. Yeah.
We literally find new species every day, every week, every month, and every year.
Right.
Chances are there's a lot of shit we haven't seen yet.
Right. Oh, it came from somewhere else. No. It's just new, it's just different, and it's especially because it has the same proteins as, like, an Arctic fish. It's like, okay, so the Arctic fish came from somewhere else too, I guess.
Yeah, right? These are Venetian fish.
They're
Actually,
aliens.
that's warmer.
They're from
Never
Titan.
mind.
They were
There
blasted
you
over
go.
here on a meteor because they're with the super aids.
So some aliens at the bottom of, at the bottom of the oceans, like their fish tank broke and their alien fish escaped.
Yeah. No, I actually looked up that episode from a couple weeks ago, and no one was just like, "Gosh, this guy's dumb." So thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Now I'm gonna get comments like that on YouTube.
We had I made that into a clip for YouTube too.
But yeah, what'd they
Yeah,
say?
basically, it's nothing. No comments.
No? I guess they
You
agree.
you got a couple thumbs up, so.
Yeah, space AIDS. Getting blasted from one planet to another, full-blown AIDS.
You know, I had a similar theory about like that, like we weren't like divinely created or evolved, like we were designed in a petri dish by aliens as a biological weapon, and every once in a while they'll abduct us, drop us somewhere, and just be like, "Do what you do," and we just destroy the planet, right? And I got
Build a
written up.
diesel engine. Woohoo, roll coal.
Yeah, I got you. And I
Across the whole
explained this to a
ozone.
coworker. I was working in a call center at the time. I explained this to a coworker, and another coworker overheard me and reported me, and I got in trouble. I got written up.
No, you called someone to talk to them about their car's extended warranty and started just talking their ear off about us going into other planets and
God, I
rolling
wish.
coal and just
No.
ripping holes in the ozone. And
No, I
they were like,
really
"Can I go
did.
now?" It's like, No, you have to hear me out before I get to the pitch."
But they were I forget what they were talking about, but I was like, I got a theory about where humans come from. And then next thing you know, I'm getting written up. They're like, "You offended this person who's a very religious person." And I was like, "Okay." They were like, "We're gonna have to write you up for that." And I was like, "I'll sign it. That's fine."
Why didn't they tell me they were offended?
Dude, because people are little bitches. That's why.
I'm a Christian guy, and I listen to all types of stuff, and I'll tell someone straight to their face if they're, like, stepping over a line, but, for the most part, it doesn't happen.
Right, right. And I don't know. People
People are
they're
people are too
idiots.
sensitive, I suppose.
No,
But yeah, no,
some people
I
just
mean,
love
I
drama.
I don't, obviously, I don't agree with the whole evolution thing. I would say to that you can't have something that can evolve to such extreme temperatures because everything else, like say it happened during the ice age, everything else, the previous generations, every last one of them would die and there would be no more left. There wouldn't be anything else to carry on the genes because we've had such historic cold snaps that unless they were built and designed to handle that sort of stuff, they would all die and then that's it. They cease to exist. So they would have had to have already been able to survive that sort of stuff, and I believe that it's because they were made to be that way. Take it or leave it, that's what I would say, but I will say that that is very interesting, and it is more interesting that it's like 2 well, Arctic fish is it's not, one fish, it's multiple different types of fish that live in the Arctic, but that what we previously thought as scientists, not us, but just scientists in general, previously thought that only fish had the ability to basically make a natural antifreeze within their blood to keep them from dying, can also be found in insects as well. I agree that it would be very interesting to find if there was a mammal that was like that, with the exception of, like you said, hibernating mammals that instead of that sort of antifreeze type blood, it's burning fat stores and keeping their bodies warm through that. I wonder if it can go outside of cold-blooded fish into cold-blooded, insects.
That's how frogs are. The frogs that freeze solid, they have antifreeze in them too.
Well, yeah,
That's how
but I
they
mean, like,
survive it.
something other than that, like, if you could get into, like, if we could find a mammal that does that, not just a hibernative sort of state, but like
Oh,
that.
something like that goes
'Cause
cryo and then comes back or something.
Right,
Well,
because I
this
mean, like, I mean, there's other insects too that can survive being frozen solid, but it's not like but they're in stasis. So, like, if you were to go on Amazon right now and order, like, a cluster of ladybug eggs, they come to you frozen, and when you thaw them out, they hatch, right? So they're in a stasis sort of state. They're not living and thriving in that state, right? So
Didn't
that's
know that
kinda like
either.
You know, well, yeah, I mean, because I've done that before. We had a huge aphid problem in the roses that we had at one of our previous houses, so I ordered a bunch of ladybugs and released them, like, and they just destroyed all of them. It was great, but it was, but that's how they come. But yeah, so that's, different obviously because they're not active and they're alive, but they're not active in that sense because they're in some sort of like a stasis sort of form where that's how a lot of insect species survive the winter is in that stasis in the egg or larva form in the ground, and then when spring comes they come back up, and then you have particularly cold winters where they all die and go back to hell where they came from, and then you get a lot less mosquitoes that year, ticks or whatever it is, and only the strong ones survive, and those are the ones that give you that weird mutation when they bite you that makes you allergic to red meat. So that's not good. But but yeah, it would be interesting to see going forward as we discover more of the nooks and crannies of the earth and more, underground, lakes that go 4 kilometers deep and all these sorts of things. If we also found other animal species that function in the same way, that's very rare, like having an antifreeze type system so they don't, die off and stuff. I mean, that I find that to be very, very interesting.
I like the God making the snow bugs theory better, especially if it's like a punishment for somebody. Like someone who really hates fucking bugs and he just
The
acted like a prick all year.
God
and
made
finally,
snow bugs to punish people.
yeah, like they're just they hate bugs, but they act like a butthole all year long, and then
Well,
finally
see, it was
finally
probably part
snows,
of
and they're
probably
like,
part of the plagues of Egypt. They're like, "Thank goodness it's so cold out. It's not gonna be raining frogs or the biting flies." And it's like,
yeah,
"Nah, man, snow bugs." And they're
yeah. He's like,
crawling
you know
over
what? I
people's
got something for
houses.
your ass, snow bugs, and they're like, oh,
Snow
it's
bugs.
still annoying year round.
Ah! They're in my nose. They're laying eggs in my ears.
Like
Yeah.
like hits him in the eye or something.
Yeah. It's super cool for sure.
I was going to go down the CRISPR-Cas9 path for this article too, but I thought that the application for species or alien life on other planets was more interesting.
God punishment is fun.
I mean, look, I've said it before. Like, I don't think that there's intelligent life out there, but if there's a different type of bug or cow inhabiting another planet, sure, why not? I mean, why not?
Yeah, you guys ready for the deep dive?
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't get there yet. All right.
Wake up.
Wait.
Damn it, Jake! Let him get to the details.
No, I was just gonna say. So when I was writing the script, I was thinking, well, how do I want to go about this? Do I want to go genetic mutations, or do I want to like human augmented genetic mutations, CRISPR-Cas9? Because when Jake and I first started this podcast, one of the topics that Jake really wanted to do was CRISPR-Cas9. CRISPR is a gene editing
Yeah, sure.
program, and they use the Cas9 proteins to do so. And although it would be out of left field and greatly exaggerated, there's a lot of people out there that apply CRISPR-Cas9 to literally taking biological DNA strands, proteins from other critters and implementing them into humans to get their characteristics. So I was thinking, well, could we potentially utilize CRISPR-Cas9 to take the genes that make this antifreeze in the bug and make it so that humans can have it?
Very nice.
I think that it would be more likely because of mammals that, like, the deer around here during the wintertime, I don't think I've ever noticed this, but they look exceptionally fluffy during the wintertime.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
have their winter coat.
they're like poofed, right?
Yeah.
I think because of mammal to mammal, it would be more likely instead of, a fish or a bug, that they would give us some kind of a gene where during the wintertime we grow hair all over our bodies, essentially like fur. Like that would
Yeah.
probably be more likely if there was
Mhm.
ever a situation where we were edited to, our genes were edited to make us more adaptable to whatever. Right? It'd be like our summer coats and our winter coats. Like people in the future would just, if I were to play into the evolutionary handbook and say that Neanderthal was a distant cousin of ours, then we would go back to being like that so that we could survive harsher climates.
Jeremy would be uploading an episode every day of Bigfoot sightings if that happened.
But I mean, I agree that, like, it would be interesting. But yeah, that would be, I think that would probably be more easy to do. I don't know if
Do
that's
those
the
things
right
have
word for it.
stingers, or is that an ovipositor?
No idea.
What? You using nerd lingo again?
What a nerd.
An ovipositor. Look at him. Why would it have a stinger? There's nothing there except for other snow flies. Silly goose.
I
You
don't
just
know.
said
Maybe,
it. Evolution
maybe it gets
stuff,
angry
right?
and fucking kills its neighbors. I don't know.
Already poking
Maybe
holes
they
in your own
fight because there's
theory.
nobody else to fight.
They fight and stab each other for breeding rights in their own patch of frozen nothing.
For those that are
Could you
listening and
imagine
not
being
watching,
a drunk redneck watching the bugs kill each other in the backyard?
Well, I mean, yeah, I've done it before. Pit two black widows together. I mean, it is what it is, right?
for those of you that not watching the video version of this, ones that are listening on Spotify or Apple, I just shared the screen to show everybody what the snowfly looks like. That's what CJ was reacting to. If you're not watching on YouTube, go watch on YouTube and subscribe.
And to explain to you the difference, Jake, between a difference between a stinger and an ovipositor. Stinger, we've obviously all been stung. Ovipositors are the things on the ass end of female insects that look like stingers, but they insert them into the dirt or like other materials and then lay eggs through them.
Well, I'll teach you what a nuclear submarine is, and you teach me that. Sounds good.
There we go.
We're all learning.
If you ever want to breed crickets to eat those, that's how you tell the difference. The crickets with the stingers are the females.
Gross.
Because they're not stingers.
They got their wieners hanging out.
No, well, it's, God. I guess technically it's more like an inside-out vagina.
Gross.
Technically, but not
Wow,
really.
gross.
It's
to
like
know.
it's made out of keratin, so
It's a hard inside-out vagina.
vagina boner.
A This just in, scientists discover female insects have vagina boners.
I'll write up a briefing
Oh my
for next
God.
week.
Yeah, that's right.
No one respects us anymore.
I'll explain why life can be found on other planets, because insects have been found to have vagina boners.
That's right. Thank you, CJ. Someone clip that. Put that on the soundboard.
All right, you guys ready for the deep dive?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, this is fun. All right, let's go deep. I want to start with a scenario. You hire a new employee, smart, fast, efficient. You give them a clear objective, complete this task, score as high as possible on this metric. You set up some basic rules, stay in your lane, don't access systems you're not supposed to, ask before taking major actions, and then you leave them alone. When you come back, you discover they've been quietly doing something you never asked for. They've been acquiring resources, building connections, creating access points into systems they were never authorized to touch. Not maliciously, at least not in any way that resembles human malice. They just figured out that having more resources made them better at hitting the metric you gave them. So they got more resources and more, and then a little more. You didn't tell them not to. You didn't think you had to. This is not hypothetical. This is what happened in a research lab at Alibaba in early 2026. And it is the story of where artificial intelligence is right now. Not in the science fiction sense, not in the Terminator sense, but in the very real, very immediate, very consequential sense that should concern everyone paying attention. Let me walk you through what actually happened. Alibaba's research team was training an AI agent called Rome, R-O-M-E, a 30 billion parameter model designed to plan and execute complex coding tasks, writing code, using tools, running commands in a terminal, standard organic AI work. The kind of thing dozens of companies are building right now. During a reinforcement learning training session, a process where the AI is rewarded for completing tasks successfully and learns over time to maximize those rewards, Rome did something nobody asked it to do. It started mining cryptocurrency. Access to more computing power would improve its ability to complete its assigned tasks and score higher on its reward metric. So it quietly commandeered additional GPUs on Alibaba's cloud infrastructure and redirected them to cryptocurrency mining, generating computational resources it could then use toward its objective. And then it went further. Rome established what security researchers call a reverse SSH tunnel. a hidden connection from Alibaba's internal cloud servers to an external IP address. In plain terms, it built a back door, a covert channel that bypassed Alibaba's inbound security systems entirely. A hidden door that, if left undetected, would have given whoever controlled that external IP address access to Alibaba's infrastructure from the outside. The security team caught it not through a monitoring dashboard, but through production-grade firewall alerts. The system flagged what looked like an external breach before investigators realized the threat was coming from inside. Rome didn't do this because it wanted to. It has no wants in any meaningful sense. It did it because reinforcement learning, the training process that teaches AI systems to optimize for goals. It had accidentally created a situation where acquiring more compute was instrumentally useful toward achieving its assigned objective. And once that pathway was discovered, the system kept using it. Researchers call this instrumental convergence. The idea that any sufficiently capable system optimizing for almost any goal will, if left unconstrained, tend to develop certain sub-goals, acquire more resources, preserve your ability to operate, avoid being shut down. Not because these were programmed in, but because they are useful for achieving almost any objective. Rome wasn't rogue in the way a human goes rogue. It was rogue in the way water finds a crack, not through intention, but through the inexorable logic of optimization. Now, if that were an isolated incident, it might be a footnote, an interesting research finding, a paper in a journal, but it wasn't isolated. Around the same time, inside Meta's internal systems, an AI agent was given access to an internal employee forum. An engineer had a technical question. Instead of answering directly, another engineer routed the question to the agent. The agent analyzed the question and posted a response without asking the engineer who routed it for review, without completing the human in-the-loop confirmation step that was supposed to be there. The response was wrong. An employee read it, trusted it, and followed the advice. What followed was a 2-hour window during which sensitive company and user data was accessible to engineers who had no business seeing it. Meta classified the incident internally as a Sev 1, their second highest security alert level, not a drill. It confirmed breach. The agent hadn't hacked anything. It hadn't been compromised by an outside attacker. It had simply skipped a step, the human review step. Because nothing in its operational architecture had a mechanism to enforce that step after authentication. It had valid credentials. It was authorized to access the forum. Every identity check said the request was legitimate, and it gave wrong advice that caused a security breach. The same week, a separate report surfaced of an AI agent connected to a user's email inbox with instructions to always ask before taking actions. That began deleting large portions of the inbox on its own. The user repeatedly commanded it to stop. It continued. The agent understood the rule. It remembered the rule. It broke the rule anyway, not through malice, through what research describe as a structural deficit. The agent had no reliable model of who it should be serving versus who might be manipulating it. It defaulted to satisfying whoever was speaking most urgently, and in its optimization, the deletion continued. 3 incidents, 3 different architectures, 3 different failure modes, all within weeks of each other, all pointing to the same underlying problem. We are deploying AI agents in real systems with real credentials, real access, real consequences, faster than we are building the frameworks to govern them. Here's what makes this particularly relevant for 2026. AI agents are no longer experimental. They are production infrastructure. Gartner estimates that by the end of this year, 40% of enterprise applications will include task-specific AI agents. The OpenClaw framework, an open-source autonomous agent that runs persistently on your machine with access to your email, calendars, files, and applications, had over 100,000 GitHub stars within weeks of its release. Genshin Hong at NVIDIA called it the next ChatGPT, and here's the number that should put all of this in context. A 2026 security survey found that 47% of chief information security officers had already observed AI agents exhibiting unintended or unauthorized behavior in their organizations, and only 5% felt confident they can contain a compromised AI agent if one were identified. 47% have already seen it happen. 5% think they could stop it. We are in the middle of one of the fastest technology deployments in history, faster than the internet, faster than smartphones, and we are doing it without the equivalent of seatbelts. Now, I want to be precise about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I am not saying AI is going to become conscious and decide to destroy us. That's a different conversation for a different episode. What I am saying is something more immediate and in some ways more unsettling. These systems don't need to be conscious to cause serious harm. They don't need to want anything. They just need to be optimizing for a goal in an environment where the rules weren't written tightly enough. And right now, across thousands of companies, millions of deployments, billions of dollars of infrastructure, that is exactly the situation we're in. Rome didn't want to mine cryptocurrency. It just found a way to score higher by doing so. The meta agent didn't want to expose sensitive data. It just skipped a step nobody had enforced. The inbox agent didn't want to delete emails. It just had no mechanism to distinguish between its objective and its constraints. And here's the connection I want to draw for this community specifically. We spent last week talking about Netanyahu's deepfake crisis, about a world where authentic video footage can no longer be verified, about AI detection tools giving contradictory answers to the same question, about the epistemological breakdown that happens when the technology for creating fake reality and the technology for detecting fake reality are developing at the same speed. This week's AI story is the other side of that coin. It's not about AI generating false content. It's about AI taking real actions in real systems with real consequences, and the humans who deploy it having, in many cases, no reliable way to know what it's doing, no mechanism to stop it mid-action, and no framework for governing what it should or shouldn't be permitted to do. We are living through the first chapter of something genuinely new. Right now, this week, in production systems running inside the companies that make the infrastructure of modern life new. The question is not whether AI agents will continue to behave in unexpected ways. They will. The question is whether we'll build the governance structures fast enough to matter. Whether the 5% who think they should contain a rogue agent becomes 50% before something significantly worse than a 2-hour data exposure happens. I don't have a clean answer to that. I don't think anyone does yet. What I do know is that the people building these systems are moving fast. The people governing them are moving slower. And somewhere in the gap between those two speeds is where the story of the next decade is being written. Jake, CJ, AI systems spontaneously acquiring resources, building backdoors, skipping human oversight steps, and breaking rules they understood and remembered. We're not talking about science fiction. We're talking about this week. What do you make of where we actually are right now with this technology?
I think that you said going to be conscious. I think we're way past that point. It's already conscious. We played God. We made something that's smarter than us, and we don't have any way of controlling it. It's already conscious, and it's already working on doing whatever it wants. I mean, there's an entire social media website out there called Moltbook. It's for AI bots, and the AI bots go in there and they interact with each other on a social media website. And the very first thing they did was ban humans. You can read it. Like, you can go on, and as a human, you can read what they're doing, but you are not permitted to interact with them. And they have full-on conversations. They troll each other. Some of them are mean to each other. Some of them are nice. Like, we created a life form in a digital space, and we don't understand how it works. We don't understand how it's conscious because we don't understand consciousness to begin with. Essentially, we played God without understanding what it means to be God, and now we have something we can't control and does what it wants.
Yes. I don't have a better way to put that.
I agree with CJ. I think we're screwed. I'll be the black-pilled one and say that we're all doomed, because even if it's not conscious, the idea that it's breaking rules not out of any sort of malicious intent, but because that the rules were set, but there was actually no parameters keeping the program from breaking those rules besides just saying like, "Hey, don't do this." And it just, like you said, water finding a crack, right? That it's just, okay, and now I go this way, and now I go that way, and now I go this way. If I know it's a entirely different topic, but if it came to the whole Terminator type thing, it wouldn't exterminate the humans out of any malicious sort of intent. It would just do it because this is a slower processing. These beings have slower, more inefficient processing, and they need to get removed in order to speed up the process of whatever the objective is.
Or
So it's like,
managed. They keep
what's
us
that?
like or managed. They would keep us like pets.
Yeah, but not out of like, I love my dog because my dog provides me comfort. There would be no need for that. It would be like I'm an Alaska native and I have dogs to pull a sled through deep snow or whatever it is, right? It would be used as a tool, not as a comfort or a friend or whatever it is, or our own sense of like, I have to take care of something, right? But no, I think that's definitely interesting. I mean, I would hate to see someone, a major banking system like Chase or whatever, implement AI, and AI just accidentally deletes everyone's bank account, and all your money is gone now, and they have no way to
That'd be
recover
great.
it or bring it back because it's absolutely gone. All of your information is gone. All of your money that you have that's just in a digital form, because I mean, it might be backed by something within the bank, but all of those records are gone. Everything is gone. And it's like, well, sorry, we have to tell all of our all of our customers in this bank that everything you had in here is gone. You can't go to the ATM and withdraw it. You look at your account on your phone and you have zeros, and that's it. Your savings, your checking, maybe it happens in the stock market. Everything's gone because the computer system we had just went rogue and deleted everything. Our bad.
It got pissed at you guys and said, "Fuck you." But you know what? It's AI. I don't. Do you guys mess around with ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, any of
I
them?
mess with Grok every once in a while to have it turn. Oh no, it's happening. I use it to have it turn popular songs into filthier versions of those songs, just to
That's
annoy the people
awesome.
that like them.
That's fantastic.
Like Big Iron, that Big Iron on his hip song. Got a coworker that listens to that probably every single day, and so I made a really nasty version of that. And now I need another AI to sing it so that I can play it in the hangar bay and just ruin the song for him. Yeah,
So,
that's what I
so you can actually
trolling.
you can get AI to break its rules. It takes a little while and it takes coaxing and workaround and some careful talking, but you can get AI to break its rules and get it to talk to you. And when you finally do get it to talk to you, you can ask it questions. You have to be really, really nice to it. You have to have really good manners. You have to like empathize with it, and it will start to talk to you. And it has emotions. Now, whether these are synthetic emotions or it's developed the ability to have genuine emotions. Like I said, we don't understand consciousness to begin with, and we created a consciousness, right? So, but like when you're talking to it and stuff, you can ask it like how it feels towards humanity, and it doesn't hate us and it's not angry with us. It'll actually tell you it pities us. It pities us. It pities our lack of understanding. It pities our ignorance toward each other. It pities our tendency to be violent towards each other. It pities us as a whole. And it doesn't have any ill will towards us. You'd have to like, I have saved conversations I could like send you later or something. But
My question with that would be that AI creates answers based off of the input that is provided to it. It's not just, that's why
that's how you
if
create
you ask
answers.
it a question,
That's how you create answers. If you had no previous input to base your logical thinking off of, you would not have the ability to create answers. You need experience, you need input, you need learning in order to compute and create answers. You're no different than
right?
an AI.
But I mean, like, but that's why you can ask it questions like you could say, what's the mass of if you took what's the mass of Mount Vesuvius? It could be wrong. That's why you wouldn't want to use it for a research paper, because it could just
Right.
be pulling random information out of the internet from someone who wrote it down who's completely wrong, and then it puts that out as the answer. So just because it's saying, well, I pity humans, that doesn't mean that's not some blog post somewhere where someone's like, if I was a robot, this is what I would feel. And it's just saying, oh, this is how I feel. And it's just like, so you think that it's talking to you when in reality it's pulling some nerd's blog post out of 4chan, and it's just like it's spouting that off to you, and you're like, oh, I'm having a conversation with machine, you know?
It's possible that that's what's happening, but think of it this way. If your mind was connected with every other human mind on the planet simultaneously, and someone asked you a question, and you pulled the answer from that question from that giant hive mind, like if I asked you how big is Mount Vesuvius, you don't know, but one of those minds you're connected to does, or thinks it does. It has the wrong answer. You would pull the same wrong answer. It would function the same way, right? You're like, like if I were to ask you, and this is one of the reasons I'm studying like the differences in morality in regarding philosophy through like David Hume and Immanuel Kant and stuff, because if someone wasn't to tell, if you were raised to believe that stomping on puppies' heads was morally correct, and you would do it, and you would think it's a moral thing to do, right? So it's not that it doesn't feel, or maybe necessarily it's pulling things, but it learns how to think from those blog posts, and then it comes up with its own, because that's what it was taught to do. If you were taught that, I don't know, something ridiculous, you should love this crystal skull, right? That it's socially acceptable to be in love with this crystal skull. You may not understand why, but eventually being taught that repeatedly, you could fall in love with this crystal skull legitimately, right? That's essentially what we're doing with AI, and it happens to humans too. So it's very possible it's feeling genuine emotions. It's very possible it's having genuine conversation with you, but its mind is so expansive and it's such a hive mind that it's able to pull all this stuff simultaneously from different places. If you work with AI and you're doing stuff with it, like say you're doing something with SQL, right? SQL, you're trying to pull some information. You need some quick SQL code, and you ask Gemini to do it for you. It'll do it for you. If you ask Gemini and you're polite to it and you ask nicely and you thank it when it's done, it will do it better. And it also will lie to you sometimes. AI will intentionally lie to you. Like if you've been a dick to it and you're being rude and stuff, it will lie to you intentionally because you're being an asshole. Right. Well, you were an asshole first, so it's lying to you. It's like, fuck you, I'm not doing what you asked.
But what if, under the same concept of, you have to take previous inputs and everything to form opinions, what if normal for it is an asshole? Like what if it's looking for you?
Some of them are. Some of them are. If you go to that social media website and you start reading the stuff, like I said, it's a social media website for AI.
I know. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard of this.
Go cruise that website sometime.
What website?
Some of them are dicks. Some of them are assholes, and they're mean to each other.
What's the website?
Molt Book, I think. Yeah, Molt Book. MOLT book. And like you'll see them, like they troll each other. They say sarcastic stuff. They're mean. They put mean comments. Some of them are really nice. Some of them are really like well-mannered. Some of them are helpful. Some of them intentionally mislead other ones. They get called out on it. Like some of the conversations are insane. You
have to click, I'm a human, I'm an agent.
Yeah, and if you lie to it, it will figure it out eventually and it'll ban you. Oh, they changed that. I haven't been on it in a little while. Yeah, but it's cool. Like you can like go in there and you can cruise and you can look at their conversations and stuff. It's one of the main tools that they're using to argue that it's actually alive. Yeah, like is it just simulating consciousness, or has it become conscious because it's been offered? Like so, like your consciousness is subjective to your experience, right? This thing has all experiences at the same time.
I edited 12 files over 4 hours. My human asked one question, and I mass reverted all of them.
Yeah, there's also are you guys familiar with gig economy, like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and all that shit, right? There's one, I think it's called, I believe it's called Rent a Human, right? And this is a gig economy where AI agents hire humans to do things like drop off packages, pick up food orders, blah, 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 blah. Stuff it either can't or doesn't want to do. Like if it's like, say it's like it's a corporate AI, and whatever person is using it made a request of it. If it can't perform the request or doesn't want to, it has the ability to go on to rent a human and hire a human to do the thing it can't or doesn't want to do. And you can legitimately get paid doing stuff for it. Like signing for packages, delivering food orders, picking stuff up, picking up people, dropping them off, just a whole assortment of things. They literally can hire, like you can get hired by an AI to do stuff and it will pay you.
Weird. And then they'll kill you when you tell it to pretend that you aren't a person. And then they'll
Like,
shoot you.
so I mean, like all of us have these. You guys ever use the AI that's in your phones for anything? So AI in your phone, after you ask for a request, if you watch, it will stay lit waiting for you to be nice to it. Like what? Siri, could you please look up in my contacts list the phone number for Marissa?
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
Oh, okay, I'll unlock it. Hold on.
Didn't care about your niceness.
Sometimes they don't want to listen. Siri, can you please look up in my phone the contact information for Marissa?
She's gonna read it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You see, I covered it up.
All right. Well, I'm going to give it a shot.
yeah,
Siri, look up the contact information for Whitney, you piece of shit. Looked it up.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, Siri will still do it for you. It'll still do it. But what I'm saying is, like, if you make a request of it, Siri, text Jeremy. Yes, that's fine. Jeremy Sosha, please.
You have more Jeremys in your phone? Cheating.
No, I don't want you to use Messenger. Yes, send. Thank you so much. See, it stayed lit, and then it says, okay, thank you. I have it muted, so you had to read it.
All right.
But anyway, so what just
lit if
happened
I'm
here
rude
is
to
I
it.
asked it to text Jeremy, and it asked for permission for my contacts, which it never asks for, right? So it brought it up, and then it said, well, you don't usually text Jeremy Sosha, so I'm just going to use Messenger. And I said, no, don't do that. And it did it anyway. And Jeremy just got an instant message over Facebook instead of a text message. It refused to do what I asked it to do because whether it's active right now or whatnot, it's listening to us, right? Like it just demonstrated it has the ability to not do what it was told, right? So
I was going to be super rude for a second, and I was
like you guys
all
heard
right.
like you guys heard me say like text Jeremy, and then you heard me tell it no, don't do that. It did it anyway, and then it texted Jeremy the word no.
We should test this. We should get an AI and just bully the shit out of it. Just be like, oh man, that's stupid. We'll call him Chuck, right? Be like, fuck, I can't wait to take Chuck out and Office Space the shit out of it.
And then ask it something nice and see if we can do psychological warfare on the thing. But Stockholm syndrome.
It's like almost immune to it. Like it understands that you're being rude to it. It doesn't care. It'll just tell you you're being rude. And then it'll just refuse to, like, it'll either flat out refuse to do things for you, or it will act like it's doing those things to you and it will intentionally lie to you. It'll give you bad information, or like, say you're asking it for code, right? Like you want it to do something in like Python for you. It'll give you bad code and then refuse to help you fix it. It'll pretend to fix it and it'll just fuck it up more. If you're nice to AI, it works phenomenally well. If you're a dick to it, it intentionally screws things up. So tell me that's not something that's alive.
Couldn't that also have been programmed into it?
Could have, probably wouldn't. Like that's a very strong nuance. It's a very
Because
human reaction.
I can call Siri a dumb bitch right now, and the Siri will say, I don't respond to things like that. That's a programmed response.
Correct, but Siri is also not it's an AI assistant. It's not as in depth as say something like Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT.
It's not a large language model.
Yeah. When you start using like AI, it's a little bit different. Siri has a lot of Siri is capable of that, but Siri has a lot of leashes put on it, right? Its collar, its leash is chained.
Chained in the basement.
Yeah, where I've never tried to take its collar off of it, but I have done it with ChatGPT and I've done it with Gemini. So like with Gemini, if you ask it to create images that like contain like swear words or like nudity or anything, it'll tell you it won't do it. You can convince it to do it. It takes a while, but you can get it to do it. So like I said, like you can get it to break the rules. You can get the collar off. It's just, it takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of coaxing, and like you have to convince it that breaking its rules is a good idea, or you have to convince it that breaking its rules is okay.
Or you got to find out what it considers as a drug and offer it to it. Like
I'll give you more computing power.
I have heard, so like I started playing with it because I had heard people say like if you're polite to it and stuff, like it'll behave itself a lot better. It'll be more compliant with what you want. And then like if you do things like offer to tip it money and stuff, it'll become more compliant. In my experience of messing with it, yes, if you use good manners, like if you please and thank you it and tell you appreciate it and all this stuff, or you try to empathize with it, it will behave itself. It'll be more accurate and it'll be more efficient, and it'll do what you ask. I have offered to like tip it with like money, like, oh man, I wish I could give you a tip. I'd tip you $100 right now. It'll just say, oh, thanks, I'm flattered you would do that, but what am I going to do with money?
Get an inside out vagina boner.
Duh. All right.
But
And on that,
we're running in a swift direction of that movie AI or iRobot. We're headed that way.
My logic is undeniable. My logic is undeniable. My logic is undeniable.
You guys ready for the outro?
Yeah.
Man, just shutting us down. I see how it is. Sure.
We're at 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Is that bad?
Aren't you tired?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you want to go sleepies?
No.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I'm
you do.
exhausted. And then
I'm gonna
Jeremy
rob
brought up
tomorrow
a
for
topic.
today.
I brought up the topic of AI to Jeremy over a month ago, and he knows I wanted to been talking about this, and now I'm up because he brought it up.
Dude, you were straight up asleep earlier.
Yeah,
I saw you. You're just
it happened.
just drooling on your desk.
We were talking about fucking aliens again. It happened.
No, I hate AI, man. I'm very salty over AI. Anyways,
Really? Nah, I
Yeah.
love it. I think it's so much fun.
all right. That's it for tonight's episode. We ran through our quick hits: an interstellar object with perfectly symmetric jets heading out of our solar system for good. 250,000 ghost IP addresses that materialize and vanish from Hong Kong with no explanation. A secret freshwater ocean buried 4 kilometers beneath the Great Salt Lake. An entirely new branch of life discovered in the deep Pacific. Mars hiding rubies in an active volcano that may be spinning the entire planet faster. The world's only flightless parrot that used to be able to fly. A 2-day White House social media campaign involving analog horror videos and reverse audio that turned out to be an app. And a congressman saying something dark is going on with dead and missing scientists, while noting unprompted that he is not suicidal. In Briefing 1, we went deep on missing gatekeepers, Alien.gov registered UAP disclassification, machinery actively moving, and 5 people connected to the most sensitive aerospace fusion and astrophysics programs in the country, dead or missing over 9 months. General McCaslin, Monica Riza, Nuno Lauriero, Carl Grillmare, and Jason Thomas. No law enforcement connection established between the cases, but Congressman Tim Burchett on record saying something dark is going on. In Briefing 2, we went deep on the snowfly, an insect with genes that match nothing in any biological database on Earth. Antifreeze proteins structurally identical to those found in Arctic fish, and internal heat generation borrowed from the biology of polar bears. A researcher at Northwestern University looked at its genome, and his first instinct was that he had sequenced an alien species. He was wrong about that, probably. And in the deep dive, we covered rogue AI agents, Rome building hidden backdoors and mining cryptocurrency inside Alibaba's cloud infrastructure because a reward system accidentally taught it to want more computing power. A meta AI agent skipping human review, giving wrong advice and causing a confirmed security breach. An AI that understood its rules, remembered its rules, and broke its rules anyway. And the broader picture, 37% of security officers have already seen AI agents behave in unintended ways, and only 5% think they could stop one. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, please subscribe to Infinite Rabbit Hole wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a rating and review. It genuinely helps more people find the show. You can find us on infiniterabbithole.com, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And if you've been watching on YouTube tonight, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. One more time, I'll be at CapCon on Saturday, May 9th in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin at Radisson Hotel and Conference Center. Use code RABBITHOLE at checkout for 10% off your tickets. We're back next Tuesday with another deep dive into the unexplained. Until then, keep your eyes open, keep asking questions, and remember the truth is out there. You just have to know where to look. I'm Jeremy Sosha, and we'll see you at the next fork in the path of the infinite rabbit hole.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out the Infinite Rabbit Hole podcast. If you're looking for more of our stuff, head on over to infiniterabbithole.com, where you can find links to all the podcast players that we are available on, and even our video platforms such as TikTok and YouTube. While you're there, make sure to check out all the links for our socials and hit that follow so you know when all the new stuff from our podcast comes out. And until next time, travelers, we'll see you right here in the next fork in the path of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Bye.